Hi everyone, this is BritSimon. So I want to talk specifically about a topic about the Muslim ban, and even though that's been revoked, there was an impact and perhaps some hope created by the revocation of that ban that stirred up some assumptions and some hope for people that were previously DV lottery selectees and were previously banned because of the Muslim ban. They were denied their cases, right? So, so let me just give it a little background. So President Biden, as predicted and quite rightly, revoked the Muslim ban on the first day he was in office. Excuse me. And in the revocation proclamation, Biden said that within 45, and I'm quoting now, within 45 days of the date of this proclamation, the Secretary of State shall provide to the President a report that includes the following elements. Right? Then it goes into detail how many visas were denied because of those bans, 9645 and 9983. These are the Muslim bans, effectively. And then also and it says this proposal shall consider whether to reopen immigrant visa applications that were denied due to the suspension and restriction on entry imposed by Proclamation 9645 or 9983, whether it is necessary to charge an additional fee to process those applications, and development of a plan for the Department of State to expedite consideration of those visa applications, right? And so that whole proposal, it says at the beginning of that, actually, it's probably important, a proposal to ensure that individuals whose immigrant visa applications were denied on the basis of that suspension and restriction on entry, blah, 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 may have their applications reconsidered. And so this got a lot of people very excited, and the assumption was that people from DV2017, 2018, 2019, and DV2020 could have their applications reconsidered because of the revocation of the Muslim ban and the comments and the statement in the revocation here. And as soon as I heard that, I was cautioning people and saying, no, don't celebrate yet. There's a problem here. And sure enough, the 45-day review came out, and the Secretary of State, Blinken, made it very clear in his review, literally called out in his review, that cases from DV2017 to DV2020, and I'll come to 2020 in a minute, but DV2017 to 2020 could not be reconsidered. Their applications could not be reconsidered, those that were denied because of the Muslim ban. Okay. Now, so what's the reality? Well, DV2020 is a different scenario, but I'll explain why that position was taken. And it really is to do with the thing that we all know about, which is the September 30th of deadline, right? So if you were DV2017, let's say, you had until the 30th of September 2017 to get processed in your case. And at the end of that year, at the end of the fiscal year, not physical year, as I've heard one of the lawyers calling it recently, but the fiscal year, at the end of the fiscal year, 30th of September, all the cases in that year were done. No further action could be taken on those cases, right? The same thing can be said for DV 2018 and 2019. Okay, none of those cases are reviewable or will be reconsidered if they were denied by the Muslim ban, because the years have ended. There's nothing that can be done about that, and there was no case at that time that sort of preserved anybody's rights that were denied, at that time. Don't forget the Muslim ban. It went through 3 iterations. It was a horrible idea. I mean, it was just bigoted, racist, xenophobic nonsense, brought out by Trump. It was a horrible decision. There's no doubt about that. It was unjust and unfair. There's no doubt about that. But the reality is that when it was written for the third time, after 2 attempts of writing it badly so that it got blocked, the third time it was written, it was tested through the courts. It went all the way to the Supreme Court, and it was allowed to stay in place. Okay, so it is, whether we like it or not, it was considered to be, the tested law of the land. Okay, the reality is it was considered to be lawful, and therefore for DV2017 to DV2019, I believe those cases are over. They cannot be recovered. They cannot be reconsidered. Now, you're entitled to pay a lawyer to go and challenge that yourself if you want, but my honest opinion is I don't think anybody's going to win a case challenging a DV2017 to 2019 case on a refusal because of the Muslim ban. I don't think anybody's going to win that. The law seems very clear to me. The Muslims ban itself was considered lawful. The fiscal year of each of those years was closed. There's just no opportunity, even if you could somehow say the Muslim ban wasn't lawful, if you could reopen that box, but it's been tested all the way to the Supreme Court. But even if you could say that, you can't reopen the box on DV 2017, 2018, 2019 because the fiscal year is over. That's just the end of it. So that should be clear to people now. Now, for DV 2020, there's a slightly different answer. And the answer for DV 2020 is that if we win the final Gomez case, and we got, the Gomez case protected 9,095 visas just before the end of the fiscal year. On September 30th of last year, 2020, Judge Mehta set aside, or put aside, reserved, if you like, preserved, whatever word you want to use, 9,095 visas to be adjudicated later. And in fact, the lawyers in that case, the Gomez cases, which includes the Mohammed, Fongjong, Kennedy, Acker cases, all of those, right? All of the lawyers are in agreement that they're arguing for more visas than the 9,095. They've got various ways to attack that number, but they're actually arguing to try and get more of those visas. And in that case, there was a lawsuit that preserved some visas and may actually end up providing more visas than the 9,095. But because of that, even though the wording from Secretary Blinken is very, very clear that DV 2020 is the same as DV 2019, 18, and 17, DV 2020 cases that were denied because of the visa ban, the Muslim ban, actually have a chance to reopen their case later on. Because if we win the final Gomez case, then those cases could be reconsidered. The conditions would then exist to say that you could get a visa now if it weren't for the fact that the Muslim ban was in place at that time. You would now get a visa. So that would actually override, I believe, what Secretary Blinken has said, and I'm pretty sure that the lawyers will be able to get some of those cases through, and perhaps even without lawsuits. I think we'll probably get a clarification of that during the Gomez case. Now, bear in mind, this depends on the Gomez case winning, being finally won. The final adjudication goes in our way, and that's not going to be until April. We hope to hear about that in April. And at that time, I hope that Judge Mehta crafts his order in such a way that A, increases the number of visas, and B, makes it very clear that the Muslim ban cases can be included in visas issued, so those cases can be reconsidered. I'm pretty confident, though not 100% sure, that we will win at least part of that argument. I don't know that we'll win all of it. I don't know that we're going to get more than 9,095, but I hope we'll win part of it. If we only get the 9,095 visas, then those visas will be used up pretty quickly. And so it's important, if you are a Muslim ban case that was previously denied, that you're fully ready to take advantage of the opportunity when and if we get the Gomez final decision. So you really need to stay fully informed. You need to make sure your paperwork is properly in order. if I were you, I would be applying for police certificates. If you think that's going to take a while to get police certificates, go ahead and reapply for the police certificates. It's not expensive to do that. Make sure your documents are still fully in order, so that if there's a chance to reopen your case, you'll be able to contact the embassy and say, based on the Gomez outcome and based on the revocation of the Muslim ban, you would like your case to be reconsidered. It's going to be a little bit challenging unless the order from Judge Mehta is really clear and specific, because the embassies are not going to try and make up their own minds about this. They will need something really clear and specific, but you need to be ready. Okay. One last comment I would say is, if people had medical conditions that meant they took 3 months or so, 2 months, 3 months to get an approval on medical cases, then you may want to sort of proactively get your medical renewed. It's expensive to do that, I know, and it's a gamble. It may be worth nothing, but it may be the difference between getting a visa and not. So you might want to consider that. And all of that last bit, that's only for DV2020. As I say, that does not apply for DV2019, 18, and 17. Sorry, but there's nothing that can be done on those cases, because there is nothing similar to Judge Mehta's order that preserved any visas for those cases. So I hope that's absolutely clear. I wanted to do a video specifically on this subject. I have spoken to some of the lawyers about this in the background, behind the scenes. And not since the 45-day review, though. So they may see things differently, but honestly, I don't think so. I think this is going to be, I think this is going to be the way it is. So for those of you still hoping for DV2017, 2018, 2019, as I say, I think the time has come now to accept that you're not going to be able to reopen those cases, and that's that. Okay, so I'm hoping that's clear. And I'm hoping that was helpful. And particularly if you're DV2020 or if you're going through the process now, please do make sure you're subscribed to my channel to get information like this, and particularly for DV2020 Muslim ban cases, you need to know if there's anything happening. And so I expect you to actually be subscribed and watch my blog, and keep in contact with me in all sorts of ways. Follow me on Twitter. Do everything you can to make sure you're fully informed, when the time comes, when we win, I hope, the Gomez case. All right. Okay, everybody, I'll call that a day. All right. Thanks, and bye-bye.